Well, in this class we are going to see what else we can do when we have an EC2 instance. Here we have again the Linux server instance that we used in a previous class and it is stopped. If we click on instance state, from here we can start it, stop it, restart it, hibernate it, or terminate it. If we right-click on it, we can also see several important things. Note that the same thing would come up if we were to click on the Actions button. So, here in Instance Settings, we can change many of the options that we saw when we were launching an EC2 instance. For example, we can change the instance type. Note that changing an instance type is also called changing the size of an instance. Notice that my instance type is T2 micro from the free tier, and we see below the details of this instance type like the hourly price and its configuration. If I click right here, we can choose a new instance type and it gives us a comparison with respect to the T2 micro in this case. I will leave it at the 2 micro to not incur costs and click cancel. Also, we can change the instance termination protection. Then, to prevent the instance from accidental termination, you can enable the termination protection. If it is enabled, you will not be able to terminate the instance from the EC2 console, neither from the APIs nor with the AWS inline tools. Remember that terminate means delete. So, if I enable it and then click Save, then click on the same instance and tell it to terminate instance, it throws a huge red warning that I can't delete it because the delete protection is enabled. In order to delete it or terminate it, I have to go back into Instance Settings, change the termination protection, disable the checkbox, and then save. And now, if we wanted to do that, it would be deleted. We'll do that another time. For now, let's continue to see what else we can do from here. In Instance Settings, we can also change the shutdown behavior. By default, when you perform a close from an instance, the instance stops. So, if from the instance's operating system, you tell it to close and the close behavior here you have it as terminate, then the instance is going to terminate or delete. If you have it in stop, the instance will simply be stopped and not deleted. This is what this option is for. I am going to cancel this. Other important options to consider here are the networks. We can associate a network interface. You can create and configure additional network interfaces in your account and associate them to instances of your VPC. We will look at this in more detail later. We can disconnect the network interface. We can disassociate the elastic IP in case you have it. We will see this later as well. You can manage IP addresses. That is, you can specify several public and private IPv4 and IPv6 addresses for your instances. In security, we can change the security group assigned to this instance. For example, select from this list some that we have already created. I am going to cancel this. We return to security. If this instance were Windows, we could get the password from here. You can modify the IAM role for a specific use case. We'll see that later as well. In Image and Templates, we can create an image of this instance. An image, also called AMI, defines the schedules and settings that are applied when launching an EC2 instance. You can create an image from the configuration of an existing instance. In this case, the one I have selected. We can create a template from this instance. Launch templates allow you to create a saved instance configuration that can be reused, shared, and launched later. So, if we go into it, notice below the contents of the template. It has the AMI, the instance type, the key pair, the network configuration, the EBS volumes, and so on. You can change these values, and when you have the configuration you want it to have, you create the template and it is saved to be used when you need it. Then, if I go back, and from up here in the arrow on the side, I choose Launch Instance from a template, I can choose here the template that I have created and launch the instance based on that detailed configuration. I'm going to cancel this. I go back to Image and Templates, and I can choose to launch more like these. Then, if I click there, notice that it skips all the previous steps of creating an EC2 instance, and I just click Launch, and it will launch one just like this one. This error here is because the instance must be running to make use of this option. I am going to click Cancel. And finally, we have a monitoring and troubleshooting option, which we saw in a previous class how to use CloudWatch alarms. From here, we can also get a system log. So, in case you experience problems with the EC2 instance, you can come here and review the system logs, which can help you identify the cause of the problem. System logs are especially useful for troubleshooting kernel and service configuration issues that could cause instance termination or inaccessibility. We can copy and download such a log. Cancel this. We go back to monitoring and troubleshooting, and we can also get a screenshot of the instance. Right now, I have it disabled because the instance is stopped. But if I go to another instance which is running, in monitoring and troubleshooting, I say get screenshot. Notice that it shows it here in this window, and I can still download it. So, as you can see, we have several important options that we can use when we have our EC2 instances created, and throughout this course we will use many of them. See you soon.